You don't have to choose between building something great and building the life you want. I've burnt out more times, I'd like to admit, and that's why I built this framework so you can catch it before you hit that wall. You know that feeling when everything is clicking, your business is moving, your head is clear, your relationships are solid, and you actually slept last night? That's being in the pocket. I'm Alisha Esmail, and this is In the Pocket, where we talk about what it actually takes to build something meaningful without losing yourself in the process. This is the first episode, so let me tell you why I made this show. I built Road Coffee into an award-winning brand, direct supply chains around the world, from Peru to Costa Rica, Kenya, and a number of different locations, partnerships with fully female-owned farms, and even its own microloan program. I even won a Woman of Distinction award, which was great. The problem is everyone saw what was working and nobody saw what it was costing me. I spent years building something someone else admired. Well, I forgot to eat. I was barely sleeping. I stopped calling back the people that mattered most to me, my friends and my family. And I convinced myself that it was okay. It was all in the name of business. And that's what it took. That's what I thought at the time, that you had to sacrifice everything to be successful. And I don't know where that came from, if it was listening to a number of other leaders or just going off of what I saw from people I respected and I admired, but that's definitely what I embodied. And to be honest with you, I burnt out more times than I'd like to admit. And I learned every one of these lessons the hard way, unfortunately, but they've turned me into who I am today. And that's why I built the 5 tanks framework, so you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. You see, these are 5 tanks that every person has: emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, and physical. And when your tanks are full, you're in the pocket. That's when they're low that you blow things up unnecessarily, you're causing issues, you're stressed, you're anxious, and you're spiraling downwards, and you don't even know why. So let me walk you through each one, and I'm going to tell you what it actually looked like for me when mine run empty. Not theory, real stories. So let's jump into it. We're going to start with the emotional tank. So your emotional tank is how you process what's happening to you. Stress, grief, joy, even the pressure of life. And when it's full, you can sit with the hard things and respond from a good place. When your emotional tank is empty, you react. You blow up your relationships unnecessarily. You might react stronger in a situation. I know I've done that before. And everything feels like a personal attack. Every conversation turns into a fight, and everything is just harder than it needs to be. I remember the moment where I really realized this affected me, and that was what I started off with today when I was telling you I was sitting in my car, not wanting to go inside. That was my emotional tank on empty. We were doing great work, and I had a number of real wins already. Clients were happy, revenue was growing, but I felt hollow. And I couldn't feel any of it. The winds were landing, and I was numb. That's not a good feeling. That really is an isolating, scary feeling. And that's what empty emotional tanks do to people. It doesn't look like crying in the bathroom or a mental breakdown necessarily, right? It looks like winning and feeling nothing, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of building something magical and building something great. Second, we got the mental tank. So your mental tank is your cognitive bandwidth, clarity, focus, the ability to make decisions without your brain shutting down. When it's full, you can think clearly. When it's empty, you can't decide what you're going to have for lunch. So one time, a number of years ago, I was heading to my friend's place one evening, and I decided to stop at the grocery store to pick up some ice cream. Simple errand, should have been 5 minutes. I stood in the frozen aisle for literally an hour, trying to decide what to get. My friend eventually called me and asked where I was because he was worried about me because I was supposed to be over an hour ago. That's when I knew I had so much decision fatigue from running everything all day and literally could not choose between chocolate, vanilla, or rocky road. Actually, salted caramel is my favorite, but it's another story. That's not a joke. I know it sounds funny, but when you're so depleted you can't even decide what ice cream flavor you want, that's a problem. That's what a depleted mental tank looks like. You've made 300 decisions by noon, and by evening, you can't make number 301. Next up is the spiritual tank. Now, your spiritual tank is the sense of purpose, why you're doing what you're doing, connection to something bigger than the next task. This isn't anything religious necessarily. It's what all the work is for. It's what you're here on earth meant to do, and whatever that looks like for you. And it can look different in different cultures, different backgrounds. All of these tanks look different in different cultures and different backgrounds, and how we fill them up is different. But we all have them as humans. Now, I remember running road, and we were starting to get real traction. This was in the early days. Things were going well, and I'd been going full tilt, and the momentum was building. And as you can tell from some of the other stories here, I obviously was not paying attention to my needs and taking care of myself. And I started to forget why I was doing what I was doing. And weird, impact, company. Impact was everything we did. We were helping, thousands of people get access to clean water. We started microloan programs that were really moving the needle in the lives of these farmers and paying them above cost of production, which was really rare. But I kind of forgot about my why for a bit. And it wasn't because I stopped caring about the farmers and the work we were doing. I was just getting exhausted on every level. I was just executing, doing the next task, hitting the next goal, doing the things I thought I needed to do to build a successful company, cranking, moving forward. And one day I stopped and realized I had no idea what I was building towards anymore. And I remember calling one of my mentors up trying to explain this, and realizing that I just felt super lost. And I was so far from any kind of center or harmony. Or I should say balance. I actually don't believe in balance. I believe in harmony. I think balance is a total myth, whereas harmony is learning when to move forward on something, when to take a step back on something, and having the wisdom to do it. I had none at the time. Okay? I was producing a lot of noise, and none of it sounded like music. The fourth tank is the relational tank. So your relational tank is more than you might think. It's not just your relationship with your partner or spouse or your kids. Your relationship tank really hits every part of your life. And we're talking about partner, family, friends, your team, strangers when you walk into a cafe, people on the road when you're driving. And here's the thing about this tank. Your relationships don't send you a cancellation email. They just slowly stop expecting you to show up, which is a really shitty feeling, if I'm being honest. And I've been there before. When I was building road, like I mentioned, and I was full on not paying attention to the important things, I realized I was hustling, and honestly, a lot of the time, I was working on the wrong things. I was so busy, but not on the stuff that was actually going to move the business forward. And that's a story for another day. But one thing I was doing was sacrificing all my time with friends and family in the name of business. And I remember waking up one morning feeling so lonely and so isolated, which is again, another shitty feeling to have, but it was really real for me. I had missed, one of my best friend's birthdays. I just totally blanked on it. I felt completely disconnected from the closest people in my life. And I, to be honest, even lost some friends in the process. And I'm super grateful that I had some amazing friends around me that didn't give up on me, that continued to reach out, and were super intentional with me, not just then, but over the years. And especially now, they still reach out when I'm heads down for too long. They make sure I come out for some air and make sure I have some fun and feel connected and part of community. That's what real relationships do. But I had to earn them back. And not everyone sticks around long enough for you to figure it out. And now we have the fifth tank, okay? Do you remember what it was? It's the physical tank. This one, pretty obvious, but it's still really important. Sleep, movement, nutrition, energy. Everyone thinks they're fine because they still go to the gym. But the physical tank is a lot bigger than just your workouts. I probably went 2 straight years where I woke up early, worked all day, forgot to eat, skipped workouts, finally ate some food around 8 p.m., then had a couple drinks with friends or at events to take the edge off, all in the name of business. Every single day, at least 6 days a week. And what I learned the hard way is that the body keeps score. You can ignore it for a while, but it's tracking everything, and eventually it sends you the bill. You can't outwork your body that's running on empty. It doesn't care how ambitious you are. And trust me, I'm pretty damn ambitious, and I've had to learn that one the hard way. So those are your 5 tanks. And here's the thing most people get wrong. Being in the pocket isn't about being full on all 5 tanks at the same time, because that's a myth in itself. Remember, balance isn't a myth. It doesn't really exist. Balance implies equal weight, like you're supposed to give something the same amount of attention. That's not how life works, and we all know that. That's not even how it should work. I believe in harmony, not balance. Harmony means everything is working together, and some things are louder than others given the season. Awareness is a tool, not perfection. A tank check is dead simple. 5 tanks, rate each one of them 1 to 10 right now. Take 5 minutes to do this. You can even do it in under a minute if you want to just crank it out. Whichever one is the lowest, that's where your next hour goes, not your next week, not your next, whole day. Lower tanks don't just hurt you, they end up hurting your decisions. They hurt your team, they hurt your clients, and they hurt your business. When your emotional tank is empty, you can't feel the wins. I've been there. Maybe you have too. When your mental tank is empty, I remember I couldn't even make decisions. I couldn't decide what ice cream I wanted. How ridiculous is that? When my spiritual tank was empty, I forgot why I was building what I was building, even though it meant the world to me. When my relationship tank was empty, I woke up lonely, isolated. And when my physical tank was empty, my body sent me the bill. And that is not when I need to pay twice. Everything's connected in life. We know this. You can't separate the founder from the business. But trust me, I've tried. And guess what? You end up isolated and empty again. How you show up at home is how you show up at work. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. That is a saying for a reason. Your tanks don't care about the boundary you drew between personal and professional. It's time that we figure out how to work together in them, because your internal world creates your external world. And so one thing I've learned over the years is if you want to crush it in business, you got to start with personal development and look inwards. You don't have to choose between building something great and building the life you want. That choice is actually just a lie we've been sold. I believed it for so long until I realized I wasn't going to live under that anymore. I've burnt out more times I'd like to admit, and that's why I built this framework so you can catch it before you hit that wall. So here's what I want you to do right now. Seriously, pause this if you need to. Rate your 5 tanks, 1 to 10, emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, and physical. Whichever one is the lowest, give it 1 hour today. Not tomorrow, today. That's how you start staying in the pocket. That's the episode. If something hit, share it with a founder who needs to hear it. I'm Alisha Esmail. Stay in the pocket.